Good morning, friends and traders. Welcome to the Market Forecast. I am Dan Hodgman. It is Friday the 13th, November 13th. I'm just going to come right out and say if you're a superstitious person and you find Friday the 13th to be a questionable day, maybe stay away from trading today. The rest of us, there's still some opportunity left here this week. The week is coming to a close. So as always, being that it is a Friday, if you're up money, today is Capital Preservation Day. Don't give back what you've earned. And if you're down money, today's a day to try and put yourself just in a little better position come Monday. Do not put yourself in a position that you can end your trading on a Friday. That's the last thing we want to do going into a weekend. We want to go to the weekend feeling good, feeling happy, and feeling excited about everything. So, I hope you guys have all had a really, really nice week. We saw some volatility earlier, and a lot of these markets just really have fallen into some sort of range and some sort of channel. I've seen a couple of them already start to make some moves, but we'll see what happens here when we take a closer look at these charts in a little bit. I want to touch on a couple things going on around the world, and the first thing I want to talk about is yesterday in the recap, I mentioned Jerome Powell was speaking at a European Central Bank forum, and he had a couple of interesting things to say. The first one that I found really interesting is one of his biggest concern for long-term impacts on this coronavirus pandemic. And he said women out of work involuntarily, children whose education is suffering, and small business owners who have lost generations of intellectual capital. I was sitting here yesterday and I started to think about everything that's kind of gone on, and I actually was scrolling through Facebook and I saw someone make a post about all the small mom and pop shops that have been closing around the country and how devastating it is. And the person that made the post made the comment that, you just always expect you'd be able to go down to the restaurant down the corner that's been there for 30 years and continue to get the same meal he's gotten since he was a little kid. And that's not the case anymore. And it's just really sad. I hate to see this stuff happening. Hopefully we can turn a corner soon and get this world on somewhat of a path to normalcy. Can't imagine it's ever going to be the normal that we knew before. I don't know, maybe shaking hands is out the window and we're just going to fist bumps. No more hugging when you introduce yourself to someone. I don't know. I don't know what the case is going to be, but it's definitely, something I hope we can get back to some sort of normalcy eventually. We did see California is now the second state in the country, in the United States here, to reach 1 million positive COVID cases behind Texas. So the surge continues. Chicago goes into a what were they calling it? A stay-at-home order starting Monday at 6 p.m. Central Time on Monday. So if you're in the Chicagoland area or you had a trip planned to Chicago, things might be changing. I can tell you this. My brother called me yesterday. He is packing his bags and moving up to my house in Wisconsin tonight to get out of the city of Chicago. So we've got that stuff going on. A couple things to note just before. We talked about it last night for the recap if you weren't here. Disney, 73 million Disney Plus subscribers. Pretty amazing number there. So Disney's shares continue to rise, even though they still have the California parks closed. I do know Florida's opening. My girlfriend is going down this week with her family. I know it's very strict on masks, and they do have strict protocol about lines and everything and how many people can come into the park at once. So once I learn a little bit more, maybe we'll pass that along. Dow S&P looking to post a positive week right now. NASDAQ on the flip side is down a little bit here this week, and we'll show you where that was, how much we're down on that one when we take a look at the charts. And other than that, no major news here today. We're going to keep an eye on everything else that's going on. We could see something crazy election happening. We could get some new news about coronavirus or a vaccine on the flip side. So there's a lot that can come out today. So just if you're trading, keep some sort of news source on in the background. Have the notifications on your phone for the apps. I can't stress that one enough. Amount of opportunity I have found just because I wasn't paying attention to the TV. I was typing an email, the phone goes off. and all of a sudden the phone has a notification about something happening, and it leads to an opportunity that I can make some money in the market. So real quick, we'll say good morning to everyone. Charles, good morning. Felix, Danielle, yes, happy Friday the 13th. Felix, great interview. Oh, thank you. Oh, yeah, my interview's out today. Came out yesterday. Go check out Living Up the podcast. Jack interviewed me. You get to learn a little bit about me, a little bit of my time in the Marine Corps, and kind of my path in trading. So go check it out. Christopher, Tanya, Jose, good morning. Ben, Nick, Kevin, already pulled 2.5 points out of yes. There we go. That's what we like to see. Subconscious, good morning. Mike, Doyle, James, Esteban, Roman, Vast West, happy Friday to you as well. Doyle, nice Movember stash. Actually, it's not a Movember stash. I was trimming my beard a week ago, and I was just joking, and I left my mustache because I was going to see my girlfriend, and I wanted to see her reaction, and she actually liked it. And so she's coming over here today, and so I've kind of let it grow out a little bit more so that I can get her to say, okay, shave it off. Oliver, good morning. DJ, yes, thank you guys. Oh, good to see you there. What are you doing up in here this morning, John? It's your day off. Go enjoy it. Yes, next Wednesday there will be market therapy. And just as a heads up, we're a little over a week away from the Thanksgiving week. I just want you guys to know there won't be any forecasts or recaps that week. John and I are taking the whole week off. Going to spend some time with the family and shut down a little bit. So just as a heads up, we will not be having any live videos that week. But maybe we'll try and get some other content out to you guys. All right. There we go, Hoag. Let's go ahead, take a look at these charts, see what we got going on here today, and get ourselves down to some trading. As always, we start with daily and crude. Crude oil, we had that big surge earlier in the week, but since then it has kind of fallen back into a little bit of a channel. This market's really continuously struggled to get above that 41.60 and hold above 41.60. And that's kind of an area I've continuously paid attention to. We have now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quality touches at that 41.60. Earlier this week, obviously, we pushed through quite a bit, but they added more to the market on yesterday. Therefore, this market kind of makes sense to kind of spill over just a little bit. When we look a little bit closer, we got settlement price. Let's not forget. Whoops, I clicked the wrong button there. Let's look a little bit closer here. Settlement price down at or up from where we're trading right now, up at 41.12. There we go. Settlement price all the way up here at 41.12. Market has opened up. The initial move was higher. We came into some continuous, I'm going to call it resistance, multiple times in the overnight session. Resistance still a pretty loose term here. This is pretty short time frame, but the market came up, checked it. Now is an opportunity to say, all right, are we going to continue this closing the gap towards settlement price, closing that gap towards, actually, we just about closed the gap to yesterday's regular trading hour session. So that gap looks like, for the most part, I'm going to say closed. This market may decide to roll over. If it rolls over, where can it go? Well, I don't have a ton down below, but one area that I'm going to start to keep an eye on if this market extends lower here is going to be 33.90. Now, if we do have some momentum to the upside, the first place I was really looking this morning before this market opened up was going to be 40.75. I liked 40.75. I thought we'd have a hard time really accepting above that and making our way towards settlement price up here again at 41.12. So 40.75 is just going to be kind of a high side that I'm going to continue to look for some opportunity if the market comes up here. And again, down to the downside, 39.90. Going to take some work to get there. You guys know me. I like looking at overnight highs and lows. And so this overnight low on here at 40.16, I'll keep an eye on that all day long. As the market approaches, I'm not going to say I'm going to jump in on something right away, but I'm going to watch reaction as that market comes down to 40.16. And if it's looking like it's going to accelerate, then I have a nice target down here at 39.90, and that's a good 26 cents to lock in on a trade. We don't always have to catch the 50, 60, 80 cent runners. Sometimes that 20, 30 cent trade, if we're keeping our risk managed there, those things pay the light bill pretty nicely, if I do say so myself. Next, let's go ahead and look at the S&P 500. All right, S&P 500. We are just barely hanging on to this week being a positive week. So if we go back to where we settled on Friday, it was right around 3,500, rounding it simply. 3,500 down here is where this market really will say if it's going to be a positive week or a negative week. So that's what I'm going to be keeping an eye on here today if this thing decides to do some sort of rollover. Right now, the opposite's happening. We're seeing possibly some profit taking from people that took the short run all the way down on Monday. Maybe they caught a little bit of that yesterday's short. So we're seeing a little profit taking here going into the end of the week. When we look a little bit closer, what do we got going on? All right. So last night, the one thing we said on the recap, I said if this overnight session, keep an eye on that range from 35.60 up to 35.65. We actually pushed through that about 4 points so far in the overnight session, but now we're starting to kind of hit that wall here. Market opens up in 18 minutes. We'll see how it goes from that. So I'm going to kind of give you guys an idea of what I'm looking at. You guys have seen me kind of draw out my channels that I like to pay attention to. So we're going to grab some lines here. We're going to kind of lay out a little bit of a channel. The first thing I'm looking at is going to be on the low side, down here, 35.20. We're going to make this black, define it a little bit more so we can see it better. There we go. And on the high side, I think, again, we're going to call it a range, right? It's got to be an area. It's not going to be finite levels. If the market does come down towards this 35.20, it may present an opportunity. This level here, 35.60 up to 35.65 is, again, going to be that area that we talked about yesterday on the recap. I'm going to continue to talk about here today. And as the market kind of starts to approach these extremes, I'm going to look for opportunity. So if this market does start to break through, we have a lot of opportunity and a lot of area for this market to go and establish a new all-time high settlement price, close of the day, new all-time high close. We haven't done that yet. So where can this go? I'm looking at if we get above 75, if we get above 35.75, this unchecked point of control all the way from Monday, right here, 35.98, piques my interest to the upside. And to the downside, if we do get below that 35.20 area, I'm going to be looking towards that 3,500. So those are a couple areas and levels I'm going to be keeping an eye out, and I'm going to look for some opportunity here today. Again, it is Friday, so I'm going to be cautious come about 10:30, 11 o'clock here Central Time to really consider making any sort of execution. Now, here's the NASDAQ. NASDAQ, on the other hand, is looking right now towards a negative week so far from Friday. So far. Doesn't mean we could be pretty darn close. Just as an FYI, we're looking at 1274 up here approximately to keep this week unchanged. So right now it is down a little bit, but the NASDAQ has been the strong performer for quite some time. Still struggling to get towards those highs we made back in August. But more news could change the direction of this market. We are still, in my opinion, maintaining, since that bigger break in the early August into the end of August, we are maintaining a continuous trend slightly to the upside. Our swing lows are higher. Our swing highs are higher. Therefore, to me, overall direction right now on a higher time frame is longer. A couple of things that I want to point out that have presented interesting opportunities that I've been using, and I know you guys ask a lot of times, what are some of the stuff that we put on our chart? So I decided to throw a couple things on here. I really pay attention to Lately, it has, and you've got to adjust them. You can't just get stuck with the same thing over and over 6 months. You do have to make some adjustments because things do change a little bit. But lately, for me, the EMA and the SMA 20-period moving averages on the daily and down to the 30-minute chart have really presented some interesting, I will say opportunities. The market has reacted every time it's come near them, and so it's something I've really been continuously paying attention to. If the market's away from them, I'm looking to see the market move towards it. If the market is right at it, I'm looking to see the market move away from it. It's as simple as that, but really, for me, it's something that's helped me find good opportunity. So, what do we got going on here in the NASDAQ? I just wanted to point that out to everyone. NASDAQ here, settlement price, 11,820. This market has, just like the S&Ps, kind of fallen into a channel. This channel down here is from a couple weeks ago when we were talking. So, we're going to do the same thing here with the NASDAQ. And we're going to kind of draw it out. And this is what I do every day with every market I'm looking at. I come in, I just draw a high and a low. I'm not going to call them trend line or a channel or a support and resistance. Or I call it strictly a channel. It could rotate. It could be in a trending direction. It could be in a sideways direction. Right now, I'm really just kind of keeping an eye on some sort of range. So what do I got really? What are we looking at here? I'm looking, my high side is going to be right around 11,940. My low side, about 800 to 820, because remember, settlement price 820. That's really what I'm going to be paying attention to. Now, we're down here on the 20 period. SMA and EMA are both sitting right here. Market's sitting right on top of them. Do we have an opportunity? It could present something. Really what I do see is if this market does break through this 940, that's when I'm going to make some sort of an adjustment. Obviously, we're going to check kind of yesterday's swing high up here at 78, 75 approximately. So if we check that, we're going to break through there. I'm really going to try and think buyers, investors are going to want to see this be a positive week. If we do break through there, it's telling me that they're trying to turn this into a positive week. So again, that was 12,074. So just a couple places to keep an eye on in this market here today. All right, let's go ahead and check out gold and currencies and get down to business. Gold continues to push a little bit higher here. We finally broke above that 1880 we talked about yesterday on the recap. And now we are right at, as you can see here, our 20-day EMA. Market has come up and touched it. It's funny how it works, right? We look to see some sort of reaction, market moving to or away from these areas. It's just something to start to pay attention to. The more you look at it, the more you start to see things, the more you might find some opportunity off of that. So let's look a little bit closer here on the 30-minute chart. Market has opened up. The first thing I was looking at this morning, and we said it yesterday, if we break above 1880, that was our thing that we talked about yesterday on the recap. 1880 to 1883, if you recall, was kind of that high side area we were keeping an eye on. Market has now broken above that. It's working its way to try and recover some of the losses made just the other day. So where does this thing go from here? Well, my first price this morning, blew through it, was 1888.90. So right here, we've already moved through my first checkpoint. We've moved through that. The next checkpoint I have, I'm just going to start laying out to you guys checkpoints that I'm looking at as this market continues higher. 1901. 1901. From there, what we want to start to think about, does it close the regular trading hour gap? That's going to be our big question. Do we start to close that gap? So that gap goes from approximately 1910 up to 1940. It's quite the gap that we'd look to fill. That's what we're going to pay attention to. If there is enough fear in the world, it is Friday the 13th, there could be some fear. Maybe we look to close all the way up to 1940. So those are just some things we're keeping an eye on here. All right, let's go ahead and look at our currencies and we'll get on out of here. Starting with the euro. Euro has been pretty comfortable within a range for quite some time. We've tried to trade out of it a little bit here and there, but really this market kind of just continues to fall inside. There's a lot going on. There are concerns with coronavirus. Brexit continues to be a topic of conversation. Travel into Europe has been shut down really from the United States in there. So there are some issues that are going to force questions within some of these currencies. And those are things that we just want to be cognizant of and paying attention to. Really, this market is making no directional decision. It's waiting for other things to happen, and I totally get that. So when we look a little bit closer, that settlement price down here at 118.50. Apologize, man. My charts have been slow. All right, so settlement price down here 118.50. Market pretty much since we've opened, we have come and checked that price. So what do we have going on? What can we start to pay attention to? Where are some areas to start to look for some opportunity? I think right now where we're sitting, we're in this dead center of some sort of range right now. I'm going to sit back. I got to wait for some sort of extreme. So that's when I talk about these ranges. When we start to define something, we're going to do something just kind of crudely drawn here. We're going to kind of pick our high side, right? High side of our range. I've got, let's see here. I've got right around here, 118.40. Well, that's not the line I'm supposed to pick. Remove that. I don't know why I did that. Let's try this again. All right. So, like I was just saying, kind of the high side that I'm looking at here. I don't know why this is happening. It's not supposed to do that. As you can see, it's supposed to be black. All right. Being a pain on me. Anyhow, so 118.40, just kind of a high side that I'm keeping an eye on here in this market. Now, to the downside, really, where do we go? Well, like we said, we have settlement price down at 118.50, 118.15. And that's really kind of this range that I'm going to look at. Market's not telling me a whole lot. We are starting to kind of create some sort of trend higher. If we use our overnight session here, we go back into the last few days, we are slowly moving higher, but really when we take a more holistic, larger viewpoint picture, we're starting to see that this market continues to hit that wall right around at that 118.40, continues to struggle to get above that all week long. Now, if we do get above that, do we start to see this market try and pick up some of those losses we had on Monday? That's exactly what I'm going to look for. So just a couple things to keep our eyes on here in the euro. Now let's go ahead and look at the yen, and we'll get on out of here. All right, yen over time continuing to make small but pretty decent trend to the upside. So on our daily chart here, I just kind of drew out our channel to get an idea of the direction that this market is working. On the downside, we have a lot of confirmation that that's really a good point to keep an eye on. The upside, I'm going to have a hard time wanting to fade the high side, but fading the low side here when we look at a daily chart is really something I'll think that there's going to create some opportunity. Multiple checkpoints, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 really nice opportunities off the low side. And you can do this not just with the daily, but really with any style or time frame charts you're looking at. It's going to help kind of guide you. What I like about doing stuff like this is it helps me do stupid things in the middle. That's where I get in trouble. It's where a lot of traders tend to get in trouble, is doing things kind of in the middle. So if you trade on a 30-minute chart, defining your channel and waiting, you don't have to trade every single trade in there. If you can kind of catch those moves It's like a little ping pong or bumper bowling, if you want to call it that. There's definitely good opportunity there. All right, let's go ahead and look at the 30-minute. We'll get on out of here. Settlement price, 95.18. There we go. Market is moving higher. Where can this thing go? We've already kind of traded through settlement price. We are maintaining nice trend to the upside. We're showing a little bit of weakness here. I'm going to wait for equities to open, but typically when we are in a trending market, we're looking for weakness to hop in on that trend, continue to go with that trend, right? Where can this thing go? Well, obviously, since I sat down, it's already made some pretty nice moves. I was looking originally at 95.40. From through there, 95.78. 95.78 is really where I'm going to kind of start to look for some opportunity here. I don't know why my volume profiles are all gone here. They were on just a little bit ago. But just like all of these other markets that we've talked about, if you didn't catch our coach's playbook on Tuesday, go check it out. We break down this idea of gap trading, closing the gaps, looking for opportunities within those gaps. And that's something we're going to start to pay attention in here. Monday created some pretty large gaps for these markets to close. So that's what I'm going to pay attention to in the end. If we get through and maintain this directional move through 78, then we're going to maybe close this gap to Friday's range. It could be a nice opportunistic day. But again, it is Friday, and that's what I cannot stress enough, everybody. It is Friday. Capital Preservation Day. If you're up money, don't give it back. If you're down money, don't push your luck. We want to be here on Monday. Every trade you take, it's not about making back the losses, but making sure you're in a better place come Monday. That's as much as we want to do on a Friday. No major news coming out today. No unemployment, no expiration. Today is just a simple, quiet Friday other than possible news coming out. So equities are opening here in 2 minutes. I just want to make sure we said hello to everybody. Murph, good morning. Kevin, still up. How do you make the fine-tuning for the EMAs? Esteban, it's really just a matter of time and understanding and use of them. I mean, I don't have a definition about how to adjust them. Lately, the 20 is what I've looked at. I'll keep an eye on a 50. I'll keep an eye on 100 and maybe a 200. And I will fluctuate with them. I mean, I'm not going from 18 to 20. There's no fine tuning there. I like the 20 period. It's worked for me for a while. So some things I'm paying attention to there. Dan, how do you use that session volume? Really, volume to me is just areas of opportunity, right? And that's one of the true factors that we get in all the markets. The honest truth that we can get is volume. Volume traded at what price and at what time. And those are the few things that I think I put a lot of faith in. If there's high volume at specific areas, I'm either looking for the market to run from that or run towards that. Every situation's different. We just got to pay attention. Yeah, Joel, go check out John's Market Therapy. Dr. Menaker is great. So much fun. Nick, good to see you. Subconscious guys are welcome. All right, guys, let's get to this open here. Have a great day. We will see you guys on Monday. Enjoy your weekend and take care.